If you know anything about me, I was raised on horror films. Raised. I was born in 1984. My grandmother is the biggest horror cinephile I ever met in my life. And I remember watching, especially slashers, man. Jason, Freddy, Halloween, all of that shit. So A Violent Nature was the perfect film for anyone who loves slasher films. Now, the beauty of a slasher is slasher films generally, they use the same rules, right? So if you watch Freddy, or you watch Jason, or you watch I Know Who You Did, or Who You Killed Last Summer, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, any slasher, there's certain rules that they do, right? Also, let me cut off my monologue really quick. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But there's rules that every slasher follows, okay? They use music to make you scared. They do jump cuts. But the beauty of A Violent Nature is they broke every fucking slasher rule that has been unwritten for the last, what, 40, 50 years? They used no music. They used no jump cuts. It came from the perspective of the slasher, Johnny. Now, Johnny was resurrected in the middle of a forest his soul was in a locket, right? His mother left him a locket. And this group of teenagers, or they say teenagers, but I'm thinking college kids, they probably were about 20 something. They steal this locket and they're thinking nothing of it, right? Now, this whole movie is of Johnny, this undead corpse that resurrects, killing these kids. And it shows Johnny from the perspective of him resurrecting. And he's moving very slow. Now, mind you, it's in the middle of a forest. So the only thing you hear, you don't hear any music. You hear the crunching of his feet. He's this big, hulking, brooding dude. Probably about 6'5", 260, big dude. And he's this big, hulking, brooding, fucking monster. And he's slowly moving through the woods, and he's slashing this motherfucker, and he's gutting this person, and he's gutting that person. And this fucking movie broke every slasher rule that you would ever think of. I've seen things in this movie that you will see in other films, other slasher films, but it wasn't like on some cartoony shit. Because some of the slasher films, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little cartoony. This shit was savage. Johnny didn't give a fuck. I love slasher films, though. So, I had been watching this trailer. I've been seeing this trailer of this movie for the last 3 months. So when it came out this week, I made sure I went to go see the matinee. I give this film an 88. Now, if you're not a horror movie fan, because it wasn't scary. Nothing scary about it. Well, I wasn't scared. I don't know. But it's a slasher film. So it's like you see him moving very slow and attacking people. And he's so calculated, you know? But what I do love about the film is it's literally shot from the perspective of the slasher, which I've never seen before. Usually a slasher film, it's given from the perspective of the teenage girl. And it's usually the same theme of the slasher is going after the girl who's a slut, who fucks everybody. Most slasher films, the slasher is some dude who kills a bunch of sluts. You know what I mean? This film wasn't that. There was no sex. There was none of that. It was clearly gore. Gore. If you love old school 1970s, 80s slasher films, you'll fucking love it. All right? I gave it an 88.